All right, Bart with Bicycle Rider YouTube. It's Father's Day 2025, and what do? I start the day off with a bicycle ride. So, as you guys know, I have bought myself a Trek Madone SL6 Gen 8. This is the road bike that I've decided to pick for my own for 2025. Heck, now that I don't own the bike shop, it might be mine for a while. I usually trade out bikes, you know, every year or so, and well, maybe this is what I hang my hat on here. I really do like it, and I want to tell you a few things about it directly after a bike ride. So I haven't even stopped to get a drink of water yet. There's a lot of really good YouTube reviewers out there that want to, you know, go over the part spec for you, every part on this bike and what carbon layout on it, and you know, all the features that you can get off of basically the description on the Trek website. And I think that's great. I'm glad they do that. I'm more about how the bike feels, how it rides, and I love doing a review right after a ride, either a good ride or a bad ride, and that way I can you know, bring you the scoop on it. So real quick, this 2025 Madone Gen 8. Gen 8 is when they blended two bikes together, the Amanda and the last generation Madone, which is their Aero road bike, was pretty stiff. The Gen 7, it was fast, but pretty stiff. So they made this bike overall a lighter bike with more compliance, but still with that Aero profile and stiffness. So they blended the best of two worlds, and that's what these two circles mean to me, is the blend of two worlds. Kind of a climbing bike and an aero bike put together. I'm lucky I own a bike shop. Well, I did until a couple weeks ago. I'm still working at a bike shop, but I'm in the bicycle infrastructure, I should say that. I've been able to have an aero bike and a climbing bike, but with the price of bikes today, I can see why people want one bike to do multiple things. And I've picked this bike. Quick review, you know, I've been riding road bikes for a long time. I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, in the Rockies there, and you know, I was privy to a lot of you know, as a young guy, I was fairly talented as a cyclist and polite, and I had some of the older guys in Fort Collins, you know, give me some pretty cool bikes or some deals on good bikes. So I've been riding road bikes for shoot, I'm 55 years old now, and that was back in 1988 when I graduated high school. So, and actually before then, even in junior high school. Hey, Dirk Frio, man, I remember you were the man back then. Even got to go to the cycling academy. So we all looked up to you, and then I think you did something with Training Peak. So right on, Dirk, man. But yeah, the bikes have changed over the years. Owning a bike shop, I get to see a lot of people, you know, bringing in their old road bikes to get redone, and then I see them out on the road rides, and then they end up getting a new generation bike, and they see what we're saying. I kind of go to the analogy like a computer, like the new processors are so much better than processors of 5 years ago. And they've done that with geometry, they've done it with carbon fiber layouts, they've done it with tube shapes. You know, they're doing it a lot of different ways, and gosh, what they're coming up with in 2025 just rides so dang good. Let me talk about, you know, the ISOFlow for a second, and the aerodynamics of this bike. So this ISOFlow really is more about comfort, you know, and as a guy that's 55 years old and just, you know, I don't get to put as many miles on. I might, now that I don't own the bike shop, I want to go out and do some more rides, and that's why I'm on a Sunday doing a solo training ride urban. And generally when I ride urban, I ride my gravel bike because it's just comfortable and rough. Today I decided to ride my Madone Urban up and over the Biloxi Bay Bridge through the urban streets of Biloxi and really put down the hammer. I am running 30 millimeter Grand Prix 5000s on some hyper wheels, and I do like the stock wheels that came on this bike, the carbon wheels, better than these hyper wheels. These hyper wheels are like a Chinese carbon, and they are a nicer wheel set. So I think hyper's been around for a while. I've been working on hyper wheels for a long time, as far as when people break spokes or get in an accident. They are made out of good quality stuff, but I've had several people go to change a tire and have their whole hub body fall off with their, you know, there's not a good retaining mechanism, and they lose the little prawls. I'm dealing with a customer right now who can't find the dang prawls without buying a whole nother free hub body. But you know, that's the only reason long story short, that's the reason that these aren't the stock wheels, is I'm saving those for the next customer. I like to say, when I sell a bike, I like to say, hey, these are brand new takeoff wheels. They've never been ridden. And I've got these Lund wheels in a trade years ago for some Revolve, so that's the only reason they're on there. They are some fast wheels, I do have to say that, fast and light. This Madone Gen 8 has the Di2 105, which is not the highest end Di2. There's the Ultegra and the Dura Ace that are even higher than this. But this bike is a price point bike. This is about a $5,000 bike. Of course, Trek gave me a deal. EP deal, employee discount for taking the courses, and then this was a scratch and dent model, so you even got a further deal. I let them know, hey, I owned a bike shop. I wasn't making much money. They know my numbers, so they helped me out with this bike. But I'm sure glad that I got it. I really like the 105 today in the urban environment. I need a big range of gears. I believe it's an 1134 cassette on the back, and on the front it's a 5034. So just a good range of gears. It shifts super butter smooth. Drivetrain's a little loud, but I mean, this is a bicycle. It's a chain, it's a gear, it's a sprocket, derailleur, you know, and you're right above it. Like in your car, a lot of the noise is suppressed by the, you know, by the vehicle's dampening. So when I say a loud drivetrain, it's a bicycle, you know, so you get what you pay for. You know, I think Dura Ace might be just a little quieter, but I'm riding hard enough. I'm not paying attention to how my drivetrain sounds unless there's some clicking or something like that. But I do wax my chain, and maybe my chain wax is starting to wear off a little bit. As a bicycle mechanic, I don't get to work on my bike as much as I'd like. But, you know, back to the ISOFlow and the geometry of the frame. I'm 5'9". This is a medium large, you know. I kind of felt like the bike was a little bit big, but as I ride it, it rides super good. It comes with a different seat mast, and underneath this light here, I was riding Lurban, so I have lights on my bike. You know, there's a way to lower this seat, and I've got it as low as it can go without the retaining bolt disappearing on me. And I did swap the stem. I put just a little bit shorter stem, and I changed the bars to a little bit carbon bar. So I have done a few things on this bike to make it fit me better at 5'9". Trek says that this bike in the medium large is from 5'8" to 5'10", so it puts me at 5'9", right in the middle range. Just seems a little big, but as I ride it, it feels perfect when I ride it. So, you know, I'm just going to listen to the Trek engineers with that, and I like the medium large. It's just I had to do a couple things to make it fit me, but it's comfortable and it's fast. I just ordered the correct blender stem mount so I can put my Garmin up on the stem with a special Trek mount, and I also want to put my little light up there. So sometimes when I'm riding in the Peloton with a group, I don't use my bike lights, but I'm out here on a Sunday by myself riding urban, so I like having the little lights with me. It looks a little bit goofy, but heck, I'm enjoying the ride. Hey, you know, I got this new tripod. I wonder if I can put my GoPro right here. I wonder if that'll catch me. Anyway, guys, I wanted to tell you a little bit about how much I enjoyed this bike. For anybody looking to buy a Trek Madone or a new generation style bike, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, with the 30mm tires, is that slowing you down? I'm running them tubeless, and I feel like it actually speeds me up. The bike came with about a 28mm wheel, outer diameter wheel, and width wheel, and a 28mm tire, and it was so aero. With the 30s and about a 28mm, I feel like my tires are probably breaking a little bit when it's not going across my rim as clean. Those are just marginal gains. I'm out here riding by myself, and I haven't really been in the fast Peloton this year, so I'm not going to worry about these little marginal gains. If I was, I'd buy the Trek RSL bottles and cages, because that's supposed to make this bike overall more aerodynamic. They're expensive. Trek, if you want to send me a pair, send me a pair. I'll put them to good use and give you a review on them. So I'm using my regular bottle cages with regular bottles. It makes it easier when you're at the coffee shop and you want to set these things down. Those RSL bottles, they're fast, but I don't think they're as user-friendly, but they are cool. If money wasn't an option, I'd have them on this bike. I try to put the bottle cage, there's multiple mounts on here, you can put the bottle cage lower. I try to do that, but when I did, the bottom of the bottles hit, and I couldn't quite it wouldn't fit in there. So I had to mount each bottle cage up a little bit further than I wanted. And a lot of it's for looks. It's got this awesome prism paint, and I didn't want to cover it with a bottle. But anyway, it fits 2 bottles just fine. It's just not as aerodynamic as a total system with these bottles on there. But it's South Mississippi, and I'm thirsty. I'm not going to go without water to, you know, have a little bit more aerodynamics. Well, this bike is fast anyway. This is my normal route. I have a specialized shiv that I leave here at my house, and we're right outside a national seashore. So I basically just use that shiv for certain races and then riding from my house in and out of the park. I don't ride that bike around town because it's an stiff aero bike. It's not comfortable for riding around town, but it's fast in the park. Today I noticed I'm a little bit slower on this bike overall on the straightaways. But you know, on my shiv, I'm also using more of an aero helmet and aero shoes, aero kit, and I can get in that aero position. And I have a fuselage, so I have a water cell inside the frame, and I don't have to get out of my drops to get a drink of water. With this, I got to get out and go. I much prefer riding a road bike than an aero bike. But when I'm looking at the difference in speed, and I have deeper dish wheels on the aero bike, so when I'm looking at a difference in speed, it could be a lot of different things. This is a road bike, so I'm in a road bike position rather than an aero position. I'm giving up a mile and a half of speed. I'd much rather have a good road bike than an aero bike for that little bit of speed. This bike's weighing in at just under 20 pounds, but that's with some 105 pedals, with cages, with a light, with a bag, with tools, you know, with this new Garmin computer, which is like a brick. At 55, I wanted a little bit more real estate on the screen, so these Garmin computers are heavy, but its functionality is great. So I'm starting to worry less about the little weight marginal gains and go for an overall feel of what I like. And I have to say that I really like this bike a lot. It's a good overall road bike. And with these 30s, I do a lot of urban road riding from Biloxi Bicycle Works, the shop, and I always use my gravel bike. There's a lot of guys that don't have a gravel bike, so they use their road bike, and I see the pain on their faces as they're going over some of the city bumps and the bridges and stuff like that, where on my gravel bike I fly. Now, there's times when I have a hard time catching those guys on my gravel bike when they're on there. There was a guy on a Tarmac SL8 this week, man, and he was untouchable on the straights, but you know, on the bridge and stuff, it was easy to catch him because he had to slow down because of the bumps. I do notice on my new checkpoint, is a fast gravel bike, but the forks are beefy. You know, I guess they have to be a gravel bike, you know. The bladed carbon fork of this Gen 8 just is aero. This whole bike feels like it just cuts through the wind. The only reasons I changed the bars was because I'm a 150 pound guy and I'm small, and the bars just seemed a little bit wide. And I had, once again, owning the bike shop, I did some trades with a guy, and I had a pair of zip carbon bars that were nice and slim. So, you know, what was nice is I was able to just mount these up to the existing stem. You know, I do like the stem. The RSL bars are great if you can afford them, but you have to know what stem length and bar width you want because there's no changing anything around. With this, I'm able to, you know, configure this bike a little bit. So I think this bike punches way above its $5,000 price point. It's a legit super bike. I mean, I would ride this bike in any Peloton without feeling like this bike is the reason that I can't keep up. I'm a sucker for a white bike, I have to say. I like white, and this prismatic paint job on this bike helps sell me on this bike, and also Trek giving me this deal on it. But if you want a good all-around road bike, and some of my friends will say, you know, 18 pounds is kind of heavy for a bike. What the heck do you mean 18 pounds is kind of heavy for a bike? Now, I did have a Specialized Athos. That bike was 14 pounds, but it didn't ride as good. Well, you know, the Athos was a good riding bike, I have to say that, but it wasn't as fast as this bike. This bike is comparably as comfortable, but way more fast, you know, so I went up a couple pounds in weight. But on the straightaways, when I get this bike at 28 to 30 miles an hour, it just wants to hold that speed. Now, with my fitness right now, I'm going to build back up now that I don't own the bike shop and get out and start riding with these guys more. Usually at 28 to 30 miles an hour, I'm not leading the pack anyway. I'm lucky if I'm holding on to someone's wheel at that point. But this bike makes it easier to do that than the Athos did. I don't know. It's comfortable. It's rugged. It's fast. It's quiet. You know, when I'm riding with some of these guys and we're going over the Biloxi Bay Bridge at 30 miles an hour on their little road bikes and they hit the expansion joints, I'm scared. I hear these bikes make all kinds of noising and clanking, and I'm scared that they're going to explode. This bike's solid. Like, it doesn't make a dang noise. It just feels good. And I got to say that about Treks over the years. As, you know, a Specialized dealer for years and years. When I touched a Trek, I knew I was touching a quality bike. You know, they've really done a nice. I like the way it looks. I like the way it rides. It's impressing me in more ways than one. So if you have to pick one bike, gosh, hard for me to say pick one bike. I'm spoiled. I've got multiple bikes, but I get it. This is a great all-around road bike, and for $5,000 or $5,500 retail on it, it's a dang super bike. Don't be scared of the Shimano 105. Yes, Ultegra Endurace. I mean, I think it's just a little bit prettier, and every time you go up a step, you know, you get a couple grams later. I think that the 105 is like 500 grams more than the Dura-Ace. 500 grams is a half a pound. That's a marginal gain. I mean, half a pound, it's a water bottle, you know, it's half a pound's easy. Now, I think I can change a couple things like a cassette and some other things on here, make this even lighter. And I might, you know, but especially now that I might keep this bike. Usually, like I said, I sell a bike every year and get the new model. I might not have that option now. So I might do some upgrades to this bike, but this bike is definitely worth upgrading. The Trek Madone Gen 8 is a fantastic bike. What can I say? I've just got done riding it. Father's Day 2025. Hey, if you like what we do on Bicycle Rider YouTube, you know, just please like and subscribe. That's free for you all, and it helps YouTube realize you guys are watching me. If you guys want more videos on the Trek Madone Gen 8, hey, just let me know what you guys want to know about this bike, and I'll be glad to tell you the technical specs. A lot of people ask me what size tires and stuff I can put on it. I've got 30s. I've put 32s on it. I don't know if it'll hold 35s or 37s, and I'm not just going to start changing tires to figure it out. If something comes into the bike shop and someone wants 35s and I go try to put some on, I'll let you know. But there's a lot of things that people want me to compare it to the new Pinarello. I don't have a new Pinarello to compare it to. But I can tell you, I can compare it to my, well, you know, this is a comparison. I recently fixed up a Specialized Roubaix SL6. It was an older model, Roubaix, but I had an SL6 back in the day, and I loved that bike. It was very comfortable, very fast. After I took that bike for basically the same ride I just took this one for, the Roubaix, it doesn't ride as nice as this. This bike is faster. It's just as comfortable. Now, that is a few generations old in the Roubaix, but it's a bike that I used to consider amazing in the day, and nowadays this bike blows it away in speed and comfort. So I haven't been on the new 2025 Roubaix, and I'm a fan of the Roubaix, but I really like the Trek Madone Gen 8. If you like the Gen 8, you have one, hey, hit me up in the comments. If you've ridden it and you don't like it for some reason, you know, don't like it just because not the Trek. You know, a lot of people aren't a Trek fan, just like a lot of people aren't a Specialized fan. But ride the bike and just pretend you don't know what brand it is and tell me how it rides. It rides, well, I think it rides great. I'd like to know your opinion on it. If you're interested in a Trek Madone Gen 8 and you have any questions, hit me up. Bart at Biloxi Bicycle Works for now still. You know, managing the shop. I don't own it. And Bart at Bicycle Rider YouTube. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much.